Yes, aren't we grateful for the rain? That's for sure. Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Karyl Huntley, and you are at the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, where our vision is awakening personal transformation, and our mission is teaching tools for positive change. So if you are here for the first time, or if you have not received our new welcome newcomer packet that actually was designed and put together with the vision of Suzanne Roth-Paul right there. And you know, she's putting together a new member team. So if you are one of those people that loves to just welcome people into this community, see her after the service. But right now, if you're here for the first time or back after a long time and don't have one of these, could you just raise your hand and they'll put one in it? And just anybody? You won't have to do anything else. Okay, all right. Well, then we're all there. There's one, right? Welcome. All right. So, for the first time ever, this is our theme for the year, the 2016 Global Vision, a world that works for everyone. And I'll stop doing this introduction after January, but I kind of want to catch everyone. And that is that for the first time ever, our denomination, our worldwide denomination, the Centers for Spiritual Living, they invited as many centers as want to participate in this theme for the unification and empowerment of our entire movement, but also for the good of the world. And so we are a part of that. This is a world that works for everyone. If you have not yet received one of these two-sided flyers, you can get one as you leave. This sort of is something we'll be working with all year long. And each center is interpreting the theme as they want, and each center has their own ancillary materials. So the book that David spoke about, the Manual for the Peacemaker, is our curriculum. So not everybody will be doing that, but most people will be doing similar topics. So today, the topic is God is unlimited, and so we are too. So just for a moment, think about 160, 180 centers this morning giving this message that God is unlimited, and you are too. You have no idea who is going to be impacted by this message that you know somewhere else in the world. So I want to preview the spiritual principles that we're going to be talking about today. You're going to see them at the end of the talk, but they're so important that I want to plant them in your mind right now so that as you listen and experience today, you can be thinking about them. The first principle is that God is unlimited, infinite, all-encompassing, and eternal. I could have added more universal words, but I wanted to give the idea that as much as we can imagine that God is, it's more, because it's infinite. We can't really imagine infinity, but it's God and more God and more God. You know, it's like that in every spiritual tradition. There's one that, you know, has the world on something, and then it's on an elephant, and then it's on a tortoise, and somebody says, well, what's after the tortoise? And they say, oh, it's tortoises all the way down. So the idea is that God is all there is, and that's everything you can imagine, and then more than that. I like some of the names for God, like the unifying principle and the pattern that connects, and then there's of all there is. So if that is God's nature, and we are sourced by God, we are a creation of God, we are the children or the offspring, the sprouts of God, then each of us has the same unlimited nature. And it's hard to conceive of, but as much as you've done, there's more. As much as you have experienced, there's more. As blissful as you have experienced, there's more bliss. Thomas Edison said, if we did all the things we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. And I absolutely know that this is true. So on this side, where it says a world that works for everyone, this third statement, where humanity awakens to spiritual magnificence, that's kind of what today is about, that we all can awaken even more to our spiritual magnificence. And then on this side, the statement that we're looking at is this one, and that's a part of the first statement, this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. And this is that beautiful, beautiful image that Mary found for us that says that. So the nature, like what Bodhi talked about, the nature of God is that it is infinite. So when something is infinite, it cannot be diminished and it can't be used up, no matter how much is created. The way that impacts us is that we can say, well, I've had a lot of joy in my life and I just don't see how I could have any more. Well, you know, you can. There is more to be had. No matter how many things or how extensive the variety of experience that you have had already, there is absolutely more. Now, the reason I think that it's hard for us to fathom something that is never ending is because it's sort of, we are seduced kind of by this world of form. Our senses, you know, the sight, hearing, taste, touch, is so delicious that our attention is drawn outside of us to these distinct things out there that usually delight us. I mean, if that's what we put in front of our awareness, we are delighted by the things. But it's hard for us to imagine something that never ends because we're confused by the world of things that can be used up. For example, if you have a bin of flour and you make bread, there's not as much flour left. And if you keep making bread, you are going to use up your flour. That's in the world of form, with the things that are stuff. But it's not so with God. In the teaching, not only in science of mind, but also in Christian Science and some of the related metaphysical traditions, they talk about the infinite substance. It's kind of like, I don't know, magic, that out of, it seems nothing, out of the infinite substance that we can't see, God makes everything. In the textbook, the Science Mind textbook, on page 70, this is all in caps, by the way. So I guess it was the same when Ernest wrote the textbook as it is with Facebook. You know, this is screaming. Screaming! But God did make and does make and is making and will continue to make from eternity to eternity forms. We live in a universe of infinite substance and numberless forms. So whatever has been made, more can be made because of this unlimited substance. The capacity of God to be and to create never ends. God makes itself into trees and planets and people and bunnies and it makes itself into experiences of beauty and joy and peace and abundance, and all of it is still left. It does not use itself up. And as I was thinking about this, we actually, in our experience, have something to compare this infinity to, and that is love. If you love the people in your life, have you used it up? Can you not love somebody else? If you have 2 children and you make a third, do you think that you've used up your love? Of course not. Because love is eternal immortal, infinite, all-encompassing, and unlimited. So God's infinite life is what makes us alive. God's life is our life. And we share in the attribute of unlimitedness. And so the second principle that we're talking about today is that we are unlimited. Unlimited. Now, when people first get in this teaching, it's lovely to think about, oh my God, I can create a car and then another car and another car and another car. And yeah, but it's not necessarily the best to create more and more and more stuff because, like the flour runs out if we make all those loaves of bread, and if we have and drive 4 cars, the oil and that's a whole other talk. That's another talk. But the mystic Mary Poppins said, enough is as good as a feast. And so I just love that. Rather than making stuff with our unlimitedness, we feel better when we express and experience and give all that we took birth to give. That's what makes us feel really good. And so for each one of us, this is my goal, to grow into the most wise, generous, on purpose, empowered, and empowering person that I can ever imagine, and then know that I can even do more. I can be wiser, I can be more generous, I can be more on purpose, I can be more empowering, and I can be more empowered. And I can be a greater good on this earthly plane than I can imagine. So, there's a word for this in the parlance of today. It's called human potential, and we just kind of let that fly all the time, the human potential movement. But when you think about it, that's what every one of those authors that's talking about you can be all you can envision is saying, that human potential is divine potential. You have more potential than you are using. That's the message. You have more potential than you are using. And we can be and do and give more than we can imagine. But if we stand on this normal and envision more, then that's the new normal. Each one of us is an unrepeatable miracle. I say that all the time, and it's absolutely true. So the Facebook thing that I found yesterday is that there is a 15-year-old boy who has discovered a 100% reliable technique for diagnosing pancreatic cancer. And it's cheap, and it's 100% reliable. And so pancreatic cancer has been a horrible killer. My grandfather died of pancreatic cancer because it cannot be, up until now, diagnosed until it's pretty much metastasized throughout your body. And so this 15-year-old boy, this is his potential right now. And think of what minds like that can bring. We all have that unlimited life to express, and we don't have to be newsworthy. We don't have to create the cure for whatever it is. In our own life, we can be more loving to the people around us. We can be more creative with the creative capacity that God has given us. Mother Teresa said, we can do no great things. We only do small things with great love. And so I'm thinking, even as I say this, you might believe it. You might say, well, I can't argue with her, but I have no idea how to access that. I have no idea how to access what is more for me. You are in the right place. Because there is a practice that we're all going to do today that is exactly for that. And it's called visioning. So I want to tell you how I look at visioning. So we have to imagine that we go into the matrix now, where everything is those dit, 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 and nothing looks like form. So we are standing in the present moment, and we have an infinite number of futures around us. We can walk this way into this future and let go of all of these. We can walk this way into this future and let go of all the rest. We can go to this future, this future, this future. And at every moment, we are letting go of all of the other futures besides the one we step into. So before you step, the process of visioning is to say, infinite mind, what is a future for me that holds the greatest love, the greatest expression, the greatest giving that I can possibly do? Of all of the futures that are available to me, show me that future, that I may walk in that path. When we do this, and this is visioning for your life, which you can do after today. If you don't do it already, you can go home and do it this afternoon. We vision for many, many different things, but if you're visioning for that expansiveness in your life, you can get anything. You can get an image so clearly. You can get an address. You can get the picture of an application. Or maybe you get puffy clouds. Or maybe you get the color purple. Or maybe you get a word or two. Or maybe you get a picture of your dog in your head, whatever it is. If you do this over and over and over, you get to learn your own images and your own symbols and the way that God talks to you. I have had so many stories of visions that people had where they said, you know, I was visioning for my church and all I got was redwood trees. I have no idea what that means. Over and over and over, all I got was redwood trees. And then lo and behold, months or years down the line, they walk into this place and they realize it's surrounded by redwood trees. So it's a very personal practice, but it works. It really works, I'm telling you. This document here, A World That Works for Everyone, these things were arrived at through visioning. It was the leadership of our entire organization over years met and visioned about what does a world that works for everyone look like. And these are the statements that they came up with. So you might not know, I'm happy to share with you that we have a visioning team at our community. Leslie, where are you? Leslie Gianetti, just stand up if you would. In addition to the bookstore, Leslie leads the monthly visioning. Are you open for more people to join you? If you've taken foundations and you would like to be a part of the visioning team, you can do that. So every month they vision. And they're so sweet. They ask me, and I imagine they ask other people, what should we vision on this month? So for January, the vision is, what is God's highest vision of itself, expressing the global vision, a world that works for everyone, and the comfortable expansion and expression of it. So that's what they visioned on for our community. So I'm just going to read some of the responses. So people saw sparkling, multifaceted jewel, small children playing a piano, friendly, inclusive, compassionate, loving, invisible force in order to attract, become. And then there's a question that says, what must be released for this greater good? And they came up with, or they received, separation and borders created in judgment, exclusivity, gossip, limiting beliefs, prejudice, self-centeredness, not yours, not mine, rather ours, old behaviors, old ideas, and resting on laurels. Now, are you getting how empowering this is? Are you getting how it, in spite of ourselves, we are directed in the paths of righteousness and truth? What must be embraced to embody this vision? Open oneness, image, a butterfly, awareness of our interconnection, meditation, turning within first, community, meditation, prayer circles, prayer partners, understanding, love, acceptance, non-judgment, change awareness, clean house, and let the fresh air in. So you see, anything can come. So visioning is really to catch a vision. It's not to say, I want a red car. What's the path to the red car? It is to open to a great vision of God. It's a welcoming practice. And it's also a practice that you do when you're willing to change. Because our teaching is not to conjure things in the world, but to become the person that can live that life. To become the person that lives the vision that we have set before us. So it is being willing to be the agent to bring in a new reality. So this has many, many benefits in addition to setting a course. And one of them is it encourages our partnership with God. Because if we just think about our own egoic desires, if we just think about, well, what I might want, and, what do I want today? It's actually better than saying, what do I have to worry about today? It's much better than that. But visioning with an open mind, asking the question, what is the path of greatest love, or whatever our soul is seeking, allows us to partner with God, because the answer comes from God. If you get an answer in visioning that is like what you've always wanted, or what you would put on your Christmas list, you just need to vision again. It may be true, may not, but what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Next, it eliminates our bloated nothingness. Now, this is a quote from Emerson. Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. That's the quote from Emerson. And so what visioning does is it opens the divine circuits. It lets us take that addictive desire that we have for things and set it aside, and let the divine circuits open up in us so that we may be the person that we took birth to experience. Next, it deepens our connection and community. It deepens our connection among us, and it deepens our sense of community when it is done together. It's a very, very powerful group practice, because what happens when people vision together is they all get on board. Somehow God works miracles, and we all get going in the same direction at the same time. And for us, Marinites, who totally march to our own drum, have you noticed that? To get everybody going in the same direction at the same time is pretty fabulous. It develops faith. What happens when we have a practice of visioning is that we get the vision, and we get the felt sense of the direction in which we're going. But then as we commit to the vision and say, yes, that felt sense is what I'm going for, then other manifestations along the way happen as if by magic. For example, I vision on my ritual business, my book that I'm writing, the rituals that I do on my trips abroad. And so what happened this week was I walked into the office about noon on Wednesday, and Cece said, oh, by the way, someone wants to interview you on the radio for an hour at 2 o'clock today about ritual. And so I was interviewed by Unity Radio for an hour about ritual. Thank you. It was so exciting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was very exciting, and it's going to be broadcast. I was certain it wasn't telecast. It was going to be broadcast this Wednesday at 2 p.m. this time on a Unity channel, which I'm not really sure of, but we will capture it and put it on our website too. So finally, visioning enables us to give our gifts, because we ask the questions, how must I change? What must I release? And what must I embrace? And because if you don't have something to change, you would be there. You would be there now. So that's it. It is a personal curriculum of growth, because you become willing to let go of and then manifest what you need to live the vision. So I want to read to you just a little bit about how this shows up for somebody else. This book, by the way, Bridges to Heaven, was being used by the beings in the alternate universe for quite a while. In other words, it was lost. And then it came back to me, and I love this book. I think the bookstore is going to buy some because it brings famous people that you know and love into interviews, and they answer questions. So this is Wayne Dyer. He said, I think, this was a question about what does God want? So he said, I think God wants us to exercise our free will to keep our lives on purpose and to serve others. That's when I'm happiest. My mantra before I speak or before I write is always, how can I serve? I just ask that question over and over again. And when I do that for 45 minutes before I speak to an audience, I go out there and it's bliss. I don't miss a beat. I find myself flawlessly quoting poetry that I didn't even know I knew. Everything works perfectly when I move away from thinking things like, how much am I going to make, or are they going to like me? So that is a perfect visioning question. Perfect. How can I serve? So you got the idea of visioning, and you were given a handout on visioning. And what's going to happen is that after we do the closing pieces to the talk, our almost minister-to-be, Scott Murchison, is going to come up, and he's going to lead a group visioning, because we want to give our gifts more. We want to give our gifts to families and to more young people and to more people with different schedules and to a diverse cultures. We want to give our gifts to more people. And in order to do that, we have determined that one home where we could have our offices, kitchen, sanctuary, and classrooms in the same place would serve that the best. And so we have visioned on this. The core council has visioned on this. Visioning has visioned on this. The new home teams have visioned on this. And we're bringing it now to the whole community. And we're going to do this once a month for a while. And it's only going to take about 10 minutes. But you'll get the idea, and then you can go home and vision for your own life. Okay? Okay. Can I have a little... Okay? Yeah, great. Okay, we're coming to the end here. The spiritual principles. First of all, as a review, God is unlimited, infinite, all-encompassing, and eternal. And the next one is, each of us has the same unlimited nature. The practice that I want you to do this week is catch your greatest divine vision. Now remember, we're doing a little process this year. There's a practice every single week, and there are cards on the events table that you can pick up and say, the last week when you said to do this and this and this is what I did, and this is how it's working for me. And then you can either put it in the offering basket or leave it on a table, and it will find its way to the office. And if everybody does a half of the practices this year, you'll get something wonderful. So we're going to move into vision. We get in our heart the Lord's heart. So I'm going to ask Elise to come up. And I'm going to ask our Karen Drucker to come up with me. And you don't have to sing, or you can sing. We're going to sing to you. And you just take this into your heart. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I
remembering. I'm remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am.
And as we remain in this space of remembering who we are, that infinite loving presence, we go deeper within to that still small place, that sacred place within. And it's from this place that we ask the question, what is God's highest vision of itself as this beloved community's permanent home? What is God's highest vision of itself as our permanent home? What does it look like, or sound like, or feel like? Whatever vision, picture, thought, idea expresses. Write it on that form. What is God's highest vision of itself? And as we let those images fall away, we step into the next question. What is my place in the unfolding of God's vision? How am I called to serve this vision? Whatever comes, write it down. And blessing those images, those ideas, we step into the question, what must I release in order for this vision to be realized? What am I called to release, to let go of? And blessing that question and the images that come, we step into the next question. What must I embrace? What divine quality or idea must I embrace for the unfoldment of this vision. Blessing those ideas, those images. We simply let them be. And move to that final place, that final question. I have asked what God's highest vision is of itself as our permanent home, and what is my place in that vision. And who must I become, and what must I release? Is there anything else that is wanting to be expressed in this moment? Is there anything else to be revealed? And so we just let that image go, allowing it to be. And I invite each one of us here and now to embrace this highest vision that has come through the divine, through each one of us. And I anchor it into consciousness now, knowing it is already done, whole and complete, and already expressed because of this vision. We are so grateful. Knowing that this vision has now poured forth through us, we just simply allow it to be and let it unfold. And so it is. So there are just a couple of things with this idea of visioning. Is there anyone who would like to express or share something that Spirit is calling them to speak out that came to them? Anybody have a word, a picture, a vision? That's a powerful vision. How about one more? Anybody else? One more? So you've heard some expressions and some experiences of some of us of what God's highest vision is and what they're called to release. I want to invite any of you who, if you were called as part of your personal vision, to be a part of the team that is manifesting and experiencing that beauty of one home. I want to invite you to meet me out on the patio after the service, and we will talk about brainstorming and hearing exactly what you had to say from each of those. And we would love to know what came to each of you in this community. So I want to invite you after the service, if you feel so called, to put your form over on the hearth of the fireplace. And we will collect all of those, and we will gather those ideas together for each of the questions, and we will begin seeing what God's highest vision is for our community. Thank you.